Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fall of the Squids, the last Splatoon major, with a pretty sweet prize pot as well. I'm joined here by, call him, how would you like me to pronounce your name? Go Up? Go Up? How would you like me to do this, man?
You can call me Goop for the day. Goop sounds nice. Goop. It kind of fits.
All right, Goop. And it's good to be joined on commentary by somebody who's from my town, from St. Louis. St. Louis boys, let's go.
Let's go, man. Let's get it. It's St. Louis is, man, it's the location to be for Splatoon right now. So it's booming.
Yeah, a lot of fun going on here when Splatoon 2 comes out. But right now we're still focused on Splatoon 1 tournament today. So let's hit the folks at home with some details here, see if they know it. So follow the Squids. For some of you who may not have heard, it's got a prize spot here. It's actually a $400 prize spot for first place. So it's a pretty sweet deal. The third place will be getting $10, so they'll be getting their entry fee back. And second place will get the remaining money, which should be somewhere in between $60 and $80. That's kind of what we've estimated right now. So even if you don't take the big prize spot home, there's still some for you, which is kind of nice. There haven't been a lot of tournaments like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, $400, like, look, if you can't afford a Nintendo Switch, then you got some cash there to go get one for Splatoon 2, right? As long as you could find one, and then, peripheral, you get that $80 gets you that Pro Controller if you already have one. So, I mean, regardless, that's a nice, it's a reward for your hard work and, playing video games. So, it's never a bad thing.
Nah, never a bad thing at all. And some additional details about the tournament today. This is going to be a two-part tournament. Today, I guess you could kind of consider the qualifier or just part one of the tournament if you'd like. We have 26 total teams today that have showed up. We're going to have 6 pools or groups. 5 of those groups have 5 teams in them, and one group has 6. The top 3 teams from those 5-team groups are going to make the cut into the final bracket, and then 4 teams from the final, the 6-man bracket, or the 6-team group also go. So that gives us an even 16 teams for the final bracket, and then from there, the top 8 teams from from that will get to go on to next week. So it should be a good time. A lot of games here, which is good because if you pay money for a paid entry tournament, because Splatoon doesn't have too many of those, it's nice to know that you're at least going to get quite a few games, even if you can't make your money back.
Exactly right. You wanna go in there and not just play around and feel like you lost your money. Well, yeah, definitely people pay to play in this particular event. It's going to be very exciting.
They did. And let's see, I mentioned we have 26 total teams. Are there any teams that you're particularly excited to see today? I know we've got a lot of teams from a lot of different skill levels, a few old teams getting back together, a few mix-ups. What are you excited for?
Well, being new on the scene, it's a little bit interesting to come in and really everybody's new to me to some extent, but I know Squids Next Door coming back together to play that's exciting just from having looked back at Splatoon. Of course, the big one, obviously, I don't want to ride the hype train too much, but Deadbeat is here today. They will be playing, and they were at E3. For those of you that don't know, they did play. That's a big deal for the more casual players because that's an easily identifiable team. So those are the two that stand out to me very quickly. There's a lot of I'm keeping my eyes out. Let's put it that way. I want to see all the talent that's going to come out today.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of talent. A couple other teams that I'm really excited to see. So for those of you who didn't watch Smash and Splash 3, first of all, you messed up. Second of all, the champion of Smash and Splash 3, that great set, Hanron, they are here today. That's going to be really exciting because that's going to be, the champion of the U.S. Inkling Open. Hanron was not eligible for the U.S. Inkling Open because of the age restrictions. Hanron was not able to compete that day, and as we all know, Deadbeat did win that and went on to win E3. A lot of people said that the U.S. Inkling Open wasn't valid because Hanron wasn't able to be there. So Hanron will get their chance of revenge today, and coming off a big, big win like Smash and Splash 3, I know that they're going to be hungry for some victories today. Extermination, great European team. We see them a lot. They've been here for quite a while. They're going to be fighting for a spot in top 8 and to take home some of that prize money as well. Creme Fraiche also here. Kairos here. Deep Blues. A lot of great teams today. So I'm glad that you mentioned you're going to keep your eyes out for the talent because there's a lot of talent. It's not the biggest tournament today, but there's so many good teams.
Right. Yeah. And I, you know what? That is my fault. I did overlook Hanron. That's going to be exciting to see maybe it does come down to an old rivalry that maybe should have, that could have changed what would be the course of history for what happened at E3. And there's a lot of exciting things here, I think, to keep our eyes out for. And it is smaller, it's a more intimate tournament. There's fewer teams here, and a lot of people are just holding off for Splatoon 2, and we see that. But I think that's going to make this just that much more exciting to really get that groundswell of the core players out here to really duke it out.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we're going to see some amazing sets today. And if not today, that top 8 is going to be absolutely filled with amazing plays, amazing players. You just get this level of talent just stacked in this kind of a tournament, and this is what you're going to see. And just want to say again, shout outs to Battlefy for hosting us for this. Shout outs to all of InkTV for casting. For those, again, who don't know, all the teams that make it into top 8 next week get a feature video, which is kind of a cool thing for teams that don't have that level of production value. It's just kind of our way of helping you guys get on the map a little bit more, help the Splatoon scene get some more content out there. And they're also getting a team drawing from none other than Uberu, great artist. If you haven't commissioned her for stuff, do that. She's awesome. But yeah, and that's again, that's totally free of charge to the teams who make it to top 8. I mean, it's a great value. Paying $10 to enter the tournament and then getting that kind of a prize is really awesome. And that, again, that's the entire top 8. You don't even have to win the tournament this time.
That is, I was just gonna say, that is unique as a prize pool to somebody coming into the Splatoon scene. I think that's very exciting for me. So I think again that this is just gonna be, we're really gonna see, I think the one thing to remember would be just duking it out to duke it out, like the last hurrah. I think that's the one thing I want to highlight here. That's also the prize, is to go, the last tournament, our team did it. You know what I mean? So I think that'll be, I think personally for me, I mean, everything is great. It sweetens the pool. But this is that bragging rights almost for eternity to some degree. So
yeah, you won the last big one. That would be a pretty sick bragging rights to have. But I kind of hope that a tournament like this sets the precedent. As the scene grows, there's going to be more paid entry tournaments. That's just something that's going to happen as the scene gets bigger. People want to play for prizes, and there's just got to be more money in the scene before it can grow. And some of that money does have to come from the players. It can't all come from sponsors or Nintendo or things like that. And just prizes for all of top 8, even if it's not necessarily monetary. I just hope that it's something that we see a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's a good thing for the scene. One, it legitimizes that scene in the eyes of companies like Nintendo, obviously, and it makes that stand out a little bit more, and it makes more people come out. That talent sort of comes out of the woodworks, and it's, some people don't care about bragging rights, and that's a completely legitimate way to look at it. But now that we're seeing people come out for prize money and things like that, we're going to see, I think maybe we're going to see people we've never heard of coming into the future, especially with Splatoon 2. But what the industry has to grow, right? This thing that we're trying to do, this sort of grassroots movement for the Splatoon community and tournaments. That's the best way to help it to grow and flourish, is to, you'll see that with EVO and all those other tournaments, and Splatoon is just going to be part of that. I think in a year we're going to see just a huge movement on top of what we already had.
Yeah, absolutely. And a quick update for everybody. We do have the first match that we will be casting for you. We do have 2 teams. We've got License to Krill versus Deadbeat. So for those of you who wanted to see Deadbeat, you're going to get to see it round 1, although we will be watching from the perspective of Smiley of License to Krill. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to be on the other end of Power's sniper, Power being the captain of Deadbeat, you'll get the chance to see that now. So it should be good to watch these 2 teams. And again, Deadbeat, we've talked at length about Deadbeat, and they really almost need no introduction. A lot of people are very familiar with them. Real quick, there is one roster change, though, that they will be having today. They're going to be fielding Pengit, Power, Tim, but they're going to be going with Tudos, a name that a lot of you are familiar with from SRL, a very big communal figure, instead of Hexen. So it should be a good time to see them. I'm kind of interested what Tudos is going to bring, what weapon he's going to go, because Hexen a lot of times could go with the Dynamo, or he could go with another quick shooter like we did see in E3. But License to Krill, they're a rebrand sort of Dank & Co. And if you remember from the US Inkling Open, Dank & Co. was the only team to take a game off of Deadbeat in the US Inkling Open. It wasn't Turf War, but they were the only one. So maybe this time they want to come back to finish the job, or maybe Deadbeat's in it this time saying, all right, that was a fluke. Let's clean up here that it's all ranked mode.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say, there's actually a little bit of some talking about how Deadbeat maybe just either wasn't really concerned with Turf War, or they just don't practice Turf War, and so it was interesting to see that they cleaned up all of the rank type modes. I think that obviously their work's cut out for them for License to Krill here, because that obviously that's where they faltered a little bit, and maybe they've been practicing a lot, and it's interesting to see, especially with Deadbeats, sort of change up on roster a little bit, and they played them, they know what they're good at, they played Deadbeats, so License to Krill maybe has taken some notes and is going to go back to school and really give it to them this time. We're going to see what happens. It's interesting.
Yeah, that will be an interesting one. And for round 2, I believe we have queued up from Group B this time, Esperantos versus Kairos. Kairos, for those of you who don't know, another top 5 finishing team in the US Inkling Open, led by their captain, Redbeck. Redbeck, one of the best carbon rollers out there right now doing it. They're fielding a roster of Redbeck, Jeremy, Trojan, and Madfish. And Esperanto is going to have Coach, Chomps Marcus, and I'm not entirely sure what the last name on it is. But again, a full team. And we do have that one queued up. That'll be for later in round 2. We're going to try to get a little bit of action from all the different groups today. As we kind of close in on starting time right now. Only a few minutes until matches, so we won't have to keep the pregame going too much longer. I know you all are excited to see Splatoon at its finest.
Man, I'm excited to see Splatoon at its finest. This is a new world for me, just to see all these great teams out. I'm just as amped as the crowd, I'm sure.
Yeah. And real quick, a couple other teams. I know we've kind of said some of the team names, but just so people are curious, because I was curious about what Squids Next Door would have for their roster. They have Akbar, Danny, LSDJ, and of course Rocket. So that's going to be a fun one. And for those of you just joining us who don't know, Squids Next Door is back together for this tournament. They disbanded a while back, but they were one of the first Splatoon teams. They were one of the teams that really built their brand earlier. Of course, that sponsorship by Panda Global Gaming. So a really important piece of Splatoon history, getting back together for this last tournament. Extermination team from Europe going to be fielding Banana, Savage, Echo, and Kiri. Let's see, some other teams we've got here. I did mention Creme Fraiche. Creme Fraiche going to be here, of course. The highest finishing team in Psystorm, the only Western team to make Psystorm top 8, which was, of course, the top 4 from Psy Cup and the top 4 from Inkstorm 5. They'll be fielding Hero, Flare, Kronos, and Brian. Hanron going to have Apple, Bran, Kite, and then Sufa. I apologize if I'm getting these names wrong. The only names that I have are the ones that are written down on the Battlefy site. Deep Blue's going to be running Dryas, Taylor, Mystic, and their new pickup Burning. That's another team that I'm interested in watching, because Burning and Taylor both playing very aggressive short-range shooters. Should be fun to see that dynamic. And of course, we already mentioned Deadbeat. And, every one of these teams, I wish we had time to talk about, seriously, because there's just so many unique faces in the Splatoon community and so many team comps that come from that.
Yeah, I agree. If there were more time in the day, I think everybody has their niche, and everybody's incredibly unique in this community, especially, the team dynamics, and maybe we'll see some up-and-comers start climbing higher and higher up the ladder so that we can sort of start covering them a little bit more. It'd be interesting to talk about them.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that's nice about having these prizes, the team picture and the team spotlights, because it does give the opportunity for more people to know, and building brand is going to be huge with this new game coming out.
Exactly. And you know what? I couldn't, realistically, again, somebody being newer, there are so many teams out there that aren't going to get as much coverage as I wish I could give them and learn about them. So I guess we'll just have to see who climbs, and then I can learn about the ones that really make it up there. But overall, it's still going to be exciting. So.
Yeah, it is going to be really exciting. And real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and read all the teams that are in the teams in their respective groups. So with Group A, we have Deadbeat, Clanless, Unity, Overdrive, and License to Krill. So we'll be casting License to Krill and Deadbeat first from Group A. In Group B, we have Hanron, Kairos, Squids Next Door, Robros, and Esperantos. Group C, Extermination, Deep Blue, the meme team, Quantum, and Los Inklings. D, we have Creme Fraiche, Spanish Army, Alteria, AOAI, and Die Hard. And then in Group E, which is our 6-team group, we have Finally, Tomo, Team Beer, EDPP, Ren, and Nakamiri Pirates. And just as a reminder, top 3 from those first 4 groups will be making it into the bracket, and the top 4 from our final group, Group E, will be making it into bracket as well. So if there are any questions about the bracket, hopefully that kind of smooths it out a little bit. It's not conventional, but it's really difficult to do this when it's this many team names.
Yeah, no, it's we're doing what we can with what we got here. Real quick, Creme Fraiche, they were a late entry almost today, weren't they? They came in last second. Am I mistaken in that?
Yeah, some technical difficulties made things a little more difficult than they needed to be, but they got in.
Okay, I know we were worried, so.
Yeah, we were worried, but let's go ahead and get into the maps here.